Hello, everybody. In this video, I'm going to discuss the method decomposition and the usage of private method. By the way, if I haven't talked with you about this, you can actually change the package name even after you write your classes, okay? You see, so you can right-click, go to refactor, and rename. And then it will rename the classes, rename the package in the classes also, okay? Just know that. Okay, suppose we want to calculate things. Two values we want to perform: addition, subtraction, divide, and multiply. And so how do you write this class? Okay, first of all, when you think about calculator, okay, it functions as a calculator, right? Do you need to have instance variables? You know, do you need to assign two instance variables there? Maybe not, or definitely not, because when you use a calculator, it's more of a utility, right? It's not an actual different calculators. It's just the calculator. You use it as a utility. So the methods in the calculator are also utility methods. You are doing a calculation. Give me two values, I will calculate. So that's why when you design a calculator, you might simply want to make it static. You don't need to create an object. Just make it static. And this calculator should have one method that is called calculate. Instead of having many different methods, let's have just one method, calculate. And so I have it here. Okay, let me copy that. Oops. And then, okay. So we have this one method, calculate. And we make it static so that we don't have to create an object to use it. So when you want to calculate, you have to tell me what operation you want, right? You also have to give me two values. Those are the parameter list. Those are the signatures. So for what operation you want, you can give me a char. You can define it, right? As a designer, you can decide, I want a char, or I want it to be a string to make it more easier to remember, add, subtract, etc. Or I want to make it an int. One is for addition, two is, you can do that. But I'm using char. Simply this way, I can use the switch statement. Actually, in Java, you can use a string, switch on a string. In a switch statement, but I'm using char. Okay, you can call it symbol, you can call it operation, whichever is more meaningful to you. Okay, so how do we calculate? First of all, if we calculate something, we need to know what type of operation you are using, right? And there are four operations we said: addition, subtraction, multiply, and divide. And so does the client class need to know how you do those operations? The client class doesn't have to know. The client class only needs to know that if he wants to calculate and give you a symbol and two values, you can calculate. So the detailed divide, multiply, etc. do not have to be visible to the client class. So in that case, what do? You make them private, right? And this is decomposition also. Calculate, it's a big thing. You divide it into smaller pieces. What if it is addition? What if it is subtraction, right? You decompose it into smaller methods. And those smaller methods should not be visible to the outside world. So we make them private. And I already have them. So let me copy them here. Oops. Okay, so we have these methods. And why do you think we make the private methods static? Why? Think about it. The reason is our calculate method is static, right? So we have to make the private static. A static method cannot call a non-static method because it might not exist without the object. It definitely does not exist. So static method has to call another static. Very easy. Add returns a double, right? That's the result. It returns two values and just return the expression, the result. Okay, so those are the static methods. Now let's see how we can implement the calculate method. Okay, so copy. So because the calculate method returns a double, a value, so I'm declaring a local variable. This is the local variable, valid only, visible, and accessible only within this method. So initialize it to 0, 0. Why? Because I need to return that result. Because it's a double return type, I need to return that result. And if I do not give it a value, what does it return, right? If it goes to this default case. So if it goes to the default case, you would not have a value to return. So that's why you always initialize it so that when the user enters an invalid symbol, you still return the result. It still compiles and runs. Okay, so let's look at this. Switch symbol, right? That's whatever care you give me. Case A, remember this switch statement. To be honest with you, just now when I was writing, I forgot the break statement. And then when I run, the result was not correct. So after a while, if you don't write the code, you forget the details. So, okay, look at this. You understand this, right? So here we are calling the add method, the private add method, and assign the return double to this result. And then we get out because of break and we return that result. Okay, so default means if you don't, if it's not a valid symbol, you just say invalid operation. Okay, so that is this calculate method. And once again, we decompose it into 4 different operations based on the symbol and make them private so that they are not accessible outside. Now let's go to calculation. Oh, I don't have anything. So I need to really calculate, right? So let's double x equals to 78.9. Double x2 is equal to 67.89, etc. And so now we can actually get the value, right? So we will say x plus x2 is, okay. And we call the method. How do you call the method? A static method, we simply use the class name calculator, right? Dot and calculate. And so if you want to do addition, you should have some instructions. If this is a real program, you need to have instructions to tell the user for addition, use A. For multiplication, use M, something like that, right? So I'm not doing that because I'm simply showing you this method decomposition and private method. Okay, so A and x2, right? Let's run. Okay, x plus x2 is this, and that should be correct. There shouldn't be any doubt about that. So that's how you can call that method. And you can also say double result is equal to calculator dot multiply. multiply, right? And so, oh, I'm sorry, no, we don't know it, right? So if we do that, you don't even know, it doesn't have that. Okay, let's just call it x and x2, and you can see that it doesn't compile because multiply, oh, okay, but that still doesn't make it compile because it's not visible. It's private, okay? So you cannot access it. And what do? We use the public method, which is calculate, okay? So calculate, and it needs another parameter, and now we have the result. And just so that you know, to review from chapter 4, scope, this result has nothing to do with this result, right? They are in two spaces. They are in two address spaces. This is visible only to this main method, and this is visible only to this calculate method. And once the method exits, once the method is finished with execution, this variable actually will be automatically destroyed. It doesn't exist anymore because it only exists in that function, in that method address space. Okay, so, and you can print out the result. Let's see. Okay, so I'm going to just do result. Okay, and in your project, you should always be very informative. I'm just saving some time so that you don't have to watch this video for a long time. Okay, so that's the result, right? Okay, that is how this works. So in this video, we discussed how to decompose a method and private and public, right? The relationships and things. Okay, that's it, everybody.